Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. I am still setting some stuff up here just because I had a little issue as soon as I started the stream, because for some reason my whole Streamlabs thing reset. So I'm going to fix that during the intro. And so that's my intro to the intro. Should we play the intro? Yeah, play the intro, will you? Play the intro. Play the intro. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way, but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, PDawg Knight. And stop the music. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as Dawg Knight on the internet, and I'm still setting stuff up while I'm talking to you. Looks like it's working now, though. Good. That's good. All right. We're ready to go. Again, welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as Dawg Knight on the internet. Welcome to the Dawg Knight Channel. It is Tuesday, the 25th of May, 2021, and I am so happy you're here. Now, as far as the chat and me saying good morning, everybody. Here's a bell for everybody. And I think Avocados Diablo was here first. My whole stream's all messed up. Oh my God, this is 5 minutes. Oh, that's because I was like, why is this 5 minutes off? Because it's not going. Anyway, I'm having one of those mornings, but at least I fixed the mess from yesterday. And I was gonna split it up I had the stream that got cut off in the middle. First of all, I fell asleep in the middle of the stream, which I am so embarrassed, but I got about an hour's sleep the night before, and I was still I was like, okay, I'm just gonna fight through it and get through it. And I did one of these and dozed off, and everyone thought I had a stroke, but I did not have a stroke. It was just me really tired. And then the power went out of my house, like 2/3 of the way through the stream. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And it went off, and then it came back on about maybe 45 seconds tops, 45 seconds or less. And I was like, oh shit. So then I got to set this whole damn thing up again, and I got it set up, did the second half. I unlisted this. If you were trying to watch the replay yesterday, I unlisted the streams, both the two streams. I was going to combine them into one and then re-upload it. And then I'm like, too much work. Let's just put it back on to public. And so if you do want to watch shows from yesterday, you can. I guarantee that you can. And so now I had to restart the stream labels and this too. Holy shit, everything's off. I'm having a weird 2 days. And, part of it is kind of due to just this lawsuit me and Lady Boomer are going through. It's kind of a pain in the butt, and unfortunately it was with a family member, and you hate to have to do that kind of stuff, but sometimes you have to. Sometimes your family members don't see things in the way that they they have just a lack of reality regarding how some things are. And so that was what my little question of the day was about Saturday, and it's posted up on my community page on YouTube, also on my Twitter handle, and it just is what it is. So I'm done with it for the most part until we get the decision. It's just a conciliation court case too, but you got to wait for the decision, and I have no doubt in my mind that we won the case. It's very obvious. We had so much evidence. It was overwhelming, in fact. But what's probably going to happen is that this relative of ours is going to be dumb enough to appeal it. Then we're going to go to civil court, and then we're going to take. We were compromising by going to conciliation court because we did ask for nearly as much as we legally could have. But if this goes to an appeal, we're going full guns on this bad boy. So. Relative or not, because it's all relative. Anyway, good morning. Here's happy Resist Fascism Day. Saw a funny tweet before I even get into it. Before I say hi to everybody, I just got to show you this because I think this is hilarious. So I've been pushing the Resist Fascism thing for a little while. Well, also there's a few other people who are onto that kind of mindset, and I saw this on Twitter. yesterday, and it's hilarious. Check this out. You're familiar. You're familiar with Antifa, right? Well, now we also have anti-foul. And if you're lurking and just not watching, they made an Antifa logo that says anti-fascist action with a black and red mask as the flags. And I just thought it was hilarious. I was rolling on the floor laughing when I saw it. And then, so I replied to them with a picture of my resist cup. You know, here's my reply, because I have a picture of the resist cup in the background of my Twitter page, and with the very cup that you see right here. So it's just hilarious. Anyway, so that was the thing yesterday, and in fact it was timely because I'm going to be talking about the good doctor, Dr. Anthony Fauci, the greatest doctor on the planet, the number one I don't know, doctor on expert on infectious diseases in the entire world, the greatest man, the most honest, humble, doesn't like to get in front of the cameras too much. Oh, Dr. Fauci. You know, let me say hi before I get into that. Let me say hi first. So first in the chat after I recalibrated everything, is Keenan. Good morning, Keenan. How you doing? Nice to see you here. Also, my favorite Canadians in the chat: Jaeger Pony, Zombie Teddy, Gun Fox 61. I said that too fast. My favorite Canadian, Jaeger Pony. Pause. Also, good morning to Zombie Teddy, Gun Fox 61, Tarai Dale, Zach Osborne, Jonathan Peterson, Atheist Icon, Jim Beam, Molly Bags is back. Nice to see you. Donatello Slapfella, nice to see you back, my friend. Lord Stanhope, also Zach Osborne, the Pissed Off Shih Tzu. Do not piss off the Shih Tzu. John Smith, say hi to Elizabeth for me. Also, always lost and nothing else. Alone. I always have to sing that. And whoever else is lurking, working, thriving, driving, just be careful out there. Don't get in an accident just because you want to see what shit I put on the video screen and stuff like that. And I'm gonna just gonna plug along here and enjoy the scenery. Also, while you're thinking about it, or while you haven't been thinking about it, or if you're about to think it, hit the like button if you like what we do. And also do this for me. Share this stream. I did not put this out on Twitter because I'm a dodo head, and I really, I'd like to do this. Well, maybe I'll just do it now. It's like I said, I had to restart everything. It's kind of messing things up. In fact, I think I will do that. I'm going to put this out there. We'll copy, we'll paste. There we go. And the hashtag resist fascism. So I'm sorry I'm doing all this while I'm doing the show, but it's just, sometimes there's those things where you got to make it happen, right? Is streaming live. Damn it. Live now. And let's see here. You get to watch the sausage being made. I don't know if that's an appropriate thing to say, but we're going to say it anyway. Cut and paste, close, bam, there we go. Oh, all right. So now it's out on Twitter. In fact, here's what you could do. I'm going to put that in the chat. If you want to cut and paste that and throw it on your favorite social media, that'd be fantastic, because this is a good day to resist fascism. It's just, that's what the show's about today. It's about resisting bad information. It's about resisting things that, if you would have listened to them the first time, that can get you killed, kind of, right? Resisting things that that some people should have known from the beginning and probably did know, but they didn't tell you the truth about it. And now things are coming out that are showing you that maybe, just maybe, they knew more than they are saying. You know what I'm saying? YCFA. Because they're lying, cheating bastards. And so I feel like we need to talk about it. But before I do that, let's say thank you to Arthur Dent. Arthur Dent. I'm not sure who Arthur Dent is, but thanks for the 420. Even though I don't do that. Who says Happy Towel Day? Now that's interesting. I did not know. Did anyone in the chat know that it was Towel Day? I didn't. You like how I'm stalling while I'm trying to do this stuff on the side here while I'm not looking at you? You right there. Happy Towel Day. It's interesting. I've never knew that there was a towel day. Is that an industry day or is it or is it just something random? I don't know. If you've heard of Towel Day, put a 1 in the chat. If you have not heard of Towel Day, put a 2 in the chat. Anyway, thank you, Arthur Dent. Greatly appreciated. First sponsor of the show. And Arthur Dent,
you are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day.
Thank you very much. All right, real quick. Good morning also, Balin Bobby. How's it going? Asian Research Directorate. Nice to see you. I think I said Lord Stanhope. There you go. Remember to thank a towel. Every day, thank a towel. So let's talk about Dr. Fauci. Before I even get into the articles today, because I've been thinking about this for a long time. The venerable Dr. Fauci. Do you remember back when, in fact, let me see if I can find it. Do you remember back when Dr. Fauci was talking about masks about a year ago? And he was saying that all these people shouldn't be out there wearing masks. And, when he was saying that, now later he admitted that he was not necessarily being true. He just didn't want to have, people buying all these masks and not have enough for the first responder kind of people. And I'm thinking to myself, they've made such a big deal about masks, especially over the last, 3 or 4 months, right? And if masks were such an integral part of why more people did not get the stupid 19, wouldn't it come to reason that Dr. Fauci probably caused tens of thousands of deaths in the first several months of this pandemic? Wouldn't it come to reason that he's the cause of death? He's the foremost infectious disease professional doctor, expert in the world. And if masks were so effective and they were so important to stopping the spread of stupid 19 and so important to, protect yourself and the ones you love, if he's telling you at the beginning of this pandemic that people shouldn't be out there wearing masks, and they took that advice, he's killed an awful lot of people, hasn't he? Why is Dr. Fauci not in prison? Well, why is Andrew Cuomo not in prison too? But that's a whole nother story. Why isn't Dr. Fauci in prison? Oh, by the way, thank you, GunFox61, sponsoring the show today. I appreciate that. And with the Deuce, who says, Marty, I posted a video from the track on Discord, and the Discord is boosted, so you can post videos on Discord. Oh, cool. Join the Discord server for news and more. Yes, please do that if you're not on the Discord server. Also, the other thing, I saw the pictures. I saw the one picture of the Jaguar that looked like it had spun out, or it was sitting in the middle of the track. I'm like, oh, I hope that nothing happened there. It was a Jaguar event, right, Gunfox? And yeah, it was really cool. I'll have to watch the video. I didn't see the video. I saw the pictures you posted. Those were awesome. And also thank you for your continued sponsorship show. I really appreciate that. Yeah. So anyway, Dr. Fauci was saying no one has to wear masks. So it's a 420 donation in reference to Tally, the towel from South Park. Oh, it's Ferrari event. I meant not Jaguar, Ferrari event. Yeah, that's right. That was a great. Those were great. I love the pictures from the track you had there. In reference to Tally. Oh, I didn't know. I see now. I haven't watched South Park in a while, so I don't know the reference. Arthur Dent, the main character in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, one of the core rules of is never forget your towel. Oh, okay. I've never read that book either. So I got to get caught up in some pop culture, I guess. I'm a little behind. Yeah, I haven't seen much South Park in the last couple of years. It was a Ferrari and they were taking pictures. Okay. That was a beautiful car. And I just thought it was weird because it was sideways in the track. I thought maybe they had a little issue with sliding or something and just got stuck there. So anyway, all right, let's get into the articles because now I'm just trying to figure it out. Let's see. So here's the thing. We talked about this story yesterday. I'm going to take Ace's little firehead thing here today. We'll just use this because this is a good place to start. So we talked about yesterday how the 3 workers at Wuhan lab got sick with the COVID-like symptoms in November 2019. Now remember, they were told that the first cases were in December, but early in November 2019, there were 3 workers from that Wuhan lab that were hospitalized with an unknown respiratory disease. And now Fauci's saying, gee, maybe I'm not so totally sure that the virus evolved naturally as I've claimed for a whole year, or as Ace would say, a whole fucking year. I'm going to go through this again because now this is a Microsoft network. This is approved sources I can use. Oh, by the way, good morning, Asan, and also Anna Lynn. Intelligence on 6 staff at Wuhan lab fuels debate on the COVID-19 origin. 3 researchers from China's Wuhan Institute of Virology became sick enough in November 2019 that they sought hospital care, according to a previously undisclosed U.S. intelligence report that could add weight to growing calls for a fuller probe of whether the stupid 19 virus may have escaped the laboratory. Now, what's wild about that, I distinctly remember back in, was it 2000? Well, yeah, it was in 2020, early during this thing. And there was a guy that was saying that, they think it could have come from this lab. This is, there's some intelligence that it could have come from this lab in the city of origin, in the country of origin that shall not be named. And he kept saying that, and then some people in the media were just kind of poo-pooing that. Like, no, this didn't happen. Even Dr. Fauci was saying, no, that's very unlikely that happened. And I just, it seems to have occurred naturally. And the guy who said that, it could have come from the lab with the funny hair, you know who I'm talking about. He was, people were just ridiculing him because of this. Just ridiculing him. And it's crazy. Special K, I support a deep probe. That was distracting. Anyway, so the details of the reporting go beyond the State Department fact sheet issued during the final days of the Trump administration, which said that several researchers at the lab, a center for the study of coronaviruses and their pathogens, became sick in autumn 2019 with symptoms consistent with both stupid 19 and common seasonal illnesses. Oh, yeah. See, they were on that common seasonal illness thing. So anyway, the disclosure of the number of researchers, the timing of their illnesses, and their hospital visits come on the eve of a meeting of the World Health Organization's decision-making body, which is expected to discuss the next phase of an investigation into stupid 19's origin. Current and former officials with the intelligence about the lab, researchers expressed differing views about the strength of the supporting evidence for the assessment. One person said that it was provided by an international partner and was potentially significant, but still needed further investigation and additional corroboration. These guys are really trying to cover their buttocks. Another person described the intelligence as stronger. The information that we had coming from the various sources was of exquisite quality. Exquisite quality. It's like a fine wine. It was very precise. What it didn't tell you was exactly why they got sick, he said, referring to the researchers. November 2019 is roughly when many epidemiologists and virologists believe SARS-CoV-2, the virus behind the pandemic, first began circulating around the central Chinese city of Wuhan, where Beijing says that the first confirmed case was a man who fell ill on December 8th, 2019, not November. The Wuhan Institute hasn't shared raw data. Oh, shocker. Safety logs, shocker. And the lab records, shocker, on its extensive work with coronaviruses in bats, which they consider the most likely source of the virus. The country of origin that shall not be named, has repeatedly denied that the virus escaped from one of its labs. On Sunday, the country of origins that shall not be named's foreign minister cited a WHO-led team's conclusion after a visit to the Wuhan Institute of Virology, or WIV, in February, that a lab leak was extremely unlikely. Oh, goodness. Well, you know how perfectly honest and pristine their data always is, because, they never try to, do anything untoward. Anyway, and so the U.S. And then they say, oh, the U.S. continues to hype the lab leak theory, the foreign minister said in response to a request for comment by the Wall Street Journal. Is it actually concerned about tracing the source or trying to divert attention? Oh, they're trying to think that they came from the United States. Well, there's an interesting possibility there too, because we know, as we've been learning, how some of this research gets funded kind of by proxy, by sending stuff to funding research in the U.S. and then the guy they fund sends stuff to Wuhan because they were working together. It's just a weird thing that Dr. Fauci is in the middle of this too. Gosh, I cannot believe it. Real quick, good morning, Check Your Logic. Good morning, Tax Ag 007. And also, thank you to Rydeos for sponsoring the show, who says, when fiction becomes reality without the zombies, a.k.a. Resident Evil 1 Biohazard, humans love playing God and fail every time. Yeah, isn't that the truth? Thank you to Rydeos. Yeah, it's these guys messing around with Mother Nature. In fact, they had one virus apparently they were working with that had a 15% what do they call it, transmission rate, but that's not the one that leaked. The one with this one with like a 1% transmission rate is the one that got out. Imagine if one of those really bad ones got out. Anyway, thank you again to Rydeos. Now this back to China though. So they're trying to say, are they trying to divert attention from what? So the Biden administration declined to comment on the intelligence, but said that all technical credible theories on the origin of the pandemic should be investigated by the World Health Organization. Yes, because they don't get any undue influence from China. But anyway, and other international experts, we continue to have serious questions about the earliest days of the COVID-19 pandemic, including its origin within the People's Republic of China. A spokesman for the National Security Council said, we're not going to make pronouncements that prejudice an ongoing WHO study into the source. The spokesman said, as a matter of policy, we never comment on intelligence issues. Well, you never have any intelligence comment on intelligent issues either. Anyway, then they say, well, most scientists say they have seen nothing to corroborate the idea that the lab came from a U.S. military lab, and the White House has said there's no credible reasons to investigate it. Which now that tells me, That just tells me that maybe they probably should test some of our research facilities too. If they say it's not, that's the time when you go, time to look at that one, right? So, let's see. So there's a Marian Koopman, a Dutch virologist on the team, told NBC News in March that some WIV staff did fall sick in the autumn of 2019, but she attributed that to regular seasonal sickness. So in other words, they had 3 people who were somewhat asymptomatic or had mild symptoms, and they just attributed it to seasonal sickness or allergies or some shit. But they didn't know what it was. They didn't know that this respiratory disease that they had was probably something really new or something manipulated, possibly in a lab. So this article goes on and on and on, and it's interesting. So now, Dr. Anthony Fauci, he now though is not convinced that stupid 19 developed naturally outside of the Wuhan lab. Now this is like a big sea change for Dr. Fauci. I think those questions from Rand Paul have been getting to him. I just do. He's saying, I think we should continue to investigate what went on in China, the leading infectious disease expert said. Now, why is he the leading expert? This is dumbfounding. Yes, he's the head of the National Institute of Health. But why exactly is Dr. Fauci the leading infectious disease expert anymore? Why do we even listen to this man? Seriously, Mr. We will not be making changes in your lifestyle. And then 2 weeks later, we changed our lifestyle for a full year. Why is he the leading infectious? Everything he does is on a hunch. Everything he does has been on a hunch. Anyway, so Anthony Fauci, director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases and President Biden's chief medical advisor, is supporting an open investigation of the coronavirus origin, saying earlier this month he is not convinced it developed naturally. I wonder if anyone else has been saying this almost for a year now. When asked about whether the virus originated naturally, Fauci said that he wants to look closer into the matter. According to Fox News, I am not convinced about that. I think we should continue to investigate what went on in China, and until we continue to find out to the best of our ability what happened. Fauci said, speaking to PolitiFacts. Kate Saunders had an event. Yes, PolitiFact was one of those outlets that said that when Trump said it could have been coming from that lab, that just made a pants on fire. They said pants on fire about Trump saying that a year ago. And now that Dr. Fauci has said it, well, maybe we should be looking into it. Oh, goodness gracious. So, certainly the people who investigated it say it likely was the emergence from an animal reservoir that then infected individuals, but it could have been something else, and we need to find that out. So, that's the reason why I said I'm perfectly in favor of any investigation that looks into the origins of the virus. Fan-fucking-tastic, Dr. Fauci. As The Hill previously reported, Fauci and Senator Rand Paul clashed over the role of the virology lab in Wuhan, China, in the origins of COVID-19. Paul accused the doctor of being linked with the Chinese government and supporting the laboratory that bioengineered the deadly virus, citing there is a connection between the NIH and the Wuhan lab, a false narrative circulating among right-wing media and politicians. Paul believes the Wuhan lab was testing a deadly virus funded by the U.S. government and then got leaked. Now, That is not true. That's not what Rand Paul said during that exchange with Dr. Fauci. What Rand Paul said in his exchange with Dr. Fauci is that the National Institute of Health, since they had a policy against this type of research, the what do they call it? Gain of function research. The one lab that in the world that was doing the gain of function research was the Wuhan Institute of Virology. And there's a doctor in North Carolina who, because he couldn't do gain of function research in the United States, he was taking his information and labs stuff, and he was sharing it with the doctor in the Wuhan Institute of Virology lab. And the doctor in North Carolina was being funded by the National Institute of Health. So it was kind of a shell game, right? That's what Rand Paul is saying. I'm not saying that's my argument. I'm just saying that's what Rand Paul is saying. But he's saying that this article, which is The Hill, so we can't trust The Hill always because they're going to spin it whatever way the people who want things spun. He said, believes the Wuhan lab was testing a deadly virus funded by the U.S. government and then got leaked. Nah, he just said that there is a connection, and we know that there's a connection. That's documented proof there's a connection. Changing America, which is this Hill thing, also reported that a group of prominent scientists does not want to rule out the possibility that the coronavirus was human made in a laboratory, pending additional information. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention is investigating reports that young adults and adolescents who received stupid 19 vaccines. Oh, now, yeah, because some people are experiencing heart inflammation after their second doses. Now, the White House has not provided evidence to refute the lab leak theory, with Press Secretary Jen Psaki saying the Biden administration is concerned that the Chinese government was not transparent from the beginning. All right, let's just stop this nonsense. Okay, again, Dr. Fauci, what do they keep calling him? What do they keep calling? They keep calling him the world's leading infectious disease expert. Knows about gain of function research, right? And he also knows that they're funding this guy in North Carolina who shares information with the lab in China. Is this just all just a coincidence? Is it just a strange coincidence that this happened? And also, remember the bats that they're getting this from, the lab in China. Because remember, they're not bad viruses that just naturally go from bats to humans, right? But they can make it look like the adding the proteins or whatever they do to it to make it gain a function to humans, right? They can make that occurs naturally, right? So, I mean, we've read another article about this. It was an approved source too. It was one of those. I think it might have been The Hill, or it might have been one of the CNN. So, anyway, now speaking of Fauci, now this is funny because Fauci brags of private calls with Chinese Communist Party researchers. So Dr. Fauci engaged in private phone calls with Chinese researchers regarding the stupid 19 outbreak, despite the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases' recent attempts to distance himself and his agency from Chinese labs potentially linked to the origins of stupid 19. The relationship divulges during an event at the Council of Foreign Relations in February 2020 undercuts the top pandemic advisor's recent claims that his agency has no ties via funding or personnel to the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Amazing. So at the event, this was back in, again, was this February 2020? They said, yeah, February 2020. At the event, Coronavirus Outbreak and Global Health Threats, Fauci was pressed by Radio Free Asia journalists on why he trusts the information China is providing related to the early days of the stupid 19 outbreak. Today, I do for the following reason, he begins before alleging that the Chinese Communist Party isn't silencing doctors who share stupid 19-related information that goes against party narratives. Yes, because they, China's so open and just transparent about everything. By the way, I am wearing Resist Faucism gear, drinking out a reverse Faucism cup. But you can get that gear at PDawgKnight.live in the merch tab. Here's what he says. What has changed in China is that the Chinese officials have been more than adamant about actually punishing people who are holding back information. I can't. I'm sorry. Let me try to finish this. Whereas early on, there was a reluctance and a hesitancy on the part of scientists to talk about what was really going on there. So there was oh, good God. So there was an early phase on where people who I knew, people I've dealt with for years, who were very concerned about speaking out publicly. They would speak to me over the phone, but they wouldn't speak publicly. Now they feel that the government is giving them free rein to completely transparent, Fauci continues. Wait a minute. Did he just say he's been talking with these people behind the scenes? Oh, but now they feel free to be completely transparent? Why? Because the government told him what their narrative is. Anyway, the private phone calls with researchers knowledgeable of the outbreak, perhaps from the Wuhan Institute of Virology, are at odds with Fauci's insistence his agency never collaborated on gain-of-function research related to COVID-19. The unearthed comments also follow the national polls highlighting the Wuhan Institute of Virology erasing mentions of both gain-of-function research and the U.S. National Institute of Health, NIH, from its website. Yeah, they were on their website even. They said they had, done stuff for them. Let's see if this is how long this is. Here, let's listen to it. Let's just listen to it.
Hi, thank you. Jane Tan with Radio Free Asia. Dr. Ketlock, can you just confirm that you say U.S. experts are in China now? Are they among the 12 international experts with WHO team? And according to the Chinese Foreign Affairs Office, they say the expert team are visiting Beijing, Guangdong, and Sichuan, not the epicenter of Wuhan. Do you think we are able to get the full picture of the epidemic? And Dr. Fauci, yesterday you say you don't think China is fudging the number, but we've seen you are in the White House task force, and we've seen them commenting on China lack of transparency. So why do you trust the information China is providing? Thank you.
Well, today I do for the following reason, that what has changed in China is that the Chinese officials have been more than adamant about actually punishing people who are holding back information, whereas early on there was a reluctance and a hesitancy on the part of the scientists to talk about what really is going on there. So there was a phase early on where the people that I knew, people that I've dealt with for years, who were very concerned about speaking out publicly. They would speak to me over the phone, but they wouldn't speak publicly. Now they feel that the government is giving them the free rein to be completely transparent.
The government is giving them their marching orders.
But what was said at the White House before and now. With regard to the people in China, we're very sensitive to the Chinese wanting to be the ones that make the statements where these people are and where they're going, because we're guests in their country.
Meaning they want to control the narrative.
And although it's an understandable question, tell me who's there, where they are, and where they're going, we would prefer to have you hear that from the Chinese, because you don't want to get ahead of the Chinese because
they will kill you. Because they will kill you. Because I don't know why.
What we don't want to do is for them to pull back on the offer of having our people there.
Because they don't want it to be transparent. God. Okay, let's okay, so that's that. I mean, that's just hilarious to me. Come on, man. Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Anyway. So, let's see. What's next? Oh, and also now, of course, anytime people start talking about this, particularly people who are not on the correct side of, political correctness, meaning if you're not a Democrat, then they're gonna blame this whole situation on people talking about what's happening versus what's actually happening. And here's a good example from Mediaite. Notice how they make the story about Brian Kilmeade and not Dr. Fauci. Brian Kilmeade claims Fauci knew the whole time COVID lab leak theory was true. Can't duck this anymore. Fox News' Brian Kilmeade went off on China. Wait a minute, on who?
China is asshole.
While insinuating that Dr. Fauci, Anthony Fauci, dishonestly tamped down speculation about the origins of coronavirus. Well, interesting. On Monday's Fox and Friends, Kilmeade delivered a tangent on China's lack of transparency throughout investigations into the pandemic's origin, groaning, quote, "There is so little curiosity as to how it started." He connected this to the Wall Street Journal's report on intelligence that researchers from Chinese Wuhan Institute of Virology were hospitalized in late 2019, which gives implicit circumstantial credence to the COVID lab leak theory. So again, they're making this about Brian Kilmeade and not about the information. Do they have a clip of this? They don't even have a clip, so I'm not going to get into it. But anyway, I'll leave that in the tabs. By the way, as you know, if you're here often or not often or once in a while, I try to remind you that every day, everything story we go through, every video, whatever, will be linked in a single link in the description down below in the description. So I usually post that at the end of each show. I also post it in the chat and on Discord. And that's where if you want to go back and look at one of these stories or use it for a video you're making or writing, blog or whatever you do, all the stories we go through today will be in a single link, one called One Tab down below. All right. Now the White House is also cautioning Americans about believing in the coronavirus lab leak theories because, I don't know. Now here's an interesting thing. So some of this funding, because Fauci's been around for a long time. Fauci's been part of the National Institute of Health since 1968. And apparently some of this experimentation that they kind of indirectly funded through funding some stuff in another, in the United States that, then they started doing stuff, sending stuff back and forth. Some of that was done during the Obama administration. Oh, the tangled web we weave. The White House cautioned Americans on Monday from believing theories about coronavirus leaked from a Chinese lab, urging them to wait for a full international investigation. Why? Why should we wait? What we can't do, and what I would caution anyone doing, is leaping ahead of an actual international process. White House the international process can suck my balls. Did I say that out loud? I think I did. Oh, sorry. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said Monday, "We don't have enough data and information to jump to a conclusion at this point in time." No, to jump to a conclusion or have a theory based on reality. Come on, Jen.
Come on, man.
When a reporter asked if the White House was aware of Psaki reacted to a report from the Wall Street Journal revealing a previously undisclosed U.S. intelligence report that 3 researchers from China's Wuhan Institute of Virology were hospitalized in November with symptoms consistent with the flu or coronavirus. When a reporter asked if the White House was aware of the intelligence report, Psaki declined to comment. She said that President Joe Biden's administration wanted the World Health Organization to continue investigating the origin of the virus. Well, good for you. And the Biden administration, you want them to continue investigating the virus? Congratulations. I got to tell you, that's a strong statement, Jen. That is very strong. And God. Anyway, we have repeatedly called for WHO to support an expert-driven evaluation of the pandemic's origins that is free from interference or politicization. Really? Because you've been politicizing this disease for since it started. it was a hammer that you like to hit Trump with constantly. It's been politicized for over a year. It's still being politicized with whether who locks down stuff and who doesn't lock down stuff. And do you know? Have you ever heard of Ron DeSantis, Jen? Because there's a lot of people who've been really up in his grits, and he's been doing actually a very good job. And remember Neanderthal thinking of Governor Abbott from Texas when they decided to end restrictions? And what's that guy that you work for's name? The guy who can barely remember which pants he's wearing, who said, "Oh, we can't have Neanderthal thinking." Shut the fuck up. Politicizing. Give me a break. Anyway, the WHO report released in March said the lab leak scenario was extremely unlikely, and said the most likely origin was the transmission of the coronavirus from bats to humans. Yeah, because that happens all the time. Psaki said the Biden administration was hopeful that the WHO could conduct a transparent, independent phase 2 investigation. She was, okay, whatever. Shut up. Now, an interesting twist is this. New York Times, Maggie Haberman blames the Trump administration for the media discrediting theories of the COVID-19 origins and blaming them for making it instantly political. Now, this is a twist that I could not fathom. Is this yeah, here it is. Let's see here.
Want to bring in CNN political analyst and Washington correspondent for the New York Times, Maggie Haberman. Maggie, so nice to see you this morning. This matters. Understanding where coronavirus and how the pandemic began matters. A lot of the discussion about the
now
lab.
It matters? Now that other people are beginning to say things that might... Wait, what's that phrase I like to use all the time? Like, let me think about this for a second. There's a phrase that I like to use a hashtag on Twitter. What is that? Trump was right. Oh, let's hear it, Maggie. Let's hear what you have to say. Hang on. Let's hear the question again.
This matters. Understanding where coronavirus and how the pandemic began matters. A lot of the discussion about the lab leak, I think, was clouded early on because there was the suggestion by some that it was somehow a Chinese weapon.
Whoa. When he says some, who does he mean by some? And who said it was a Chinese weapon? Just said it could have come from this lab. But I'm going to let him finish. I've not even let Maggie talk yet. With her eyes closed, whatever that's supposed to be. Anyway.
Caused this. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about a lab accident, but we've come a long way.
Oh, and a lab accident. They accidentally were creating, making the virus adaptable to humans in what's called gain-of-function research. And the lab accident was that somebody caught it while they were playing around with this shit. If that's what you mean by lab accident.
From people dismissing this as a conspiracy theory to a lot of people taking this seriously, Meg.
Oh, like Dr. Fauci now.
We have, John, and look, I do think it's important to remember that part of the issue when this was first being reported on and discussed back a few months after the pandemic had begun was that then President Trump and Mike Pompeo, the Secretary of State, both suggested they had seen evidence that this was formed in a lab, and they also suggested it was not released on purpose.
And what was the evidence that they saw? Anybody remember what the evidence they saw was? Was it that they saw evidence, or were there intelligence reports suggesting this as a possibility?
But they refused to release the evidence showing what it was.
Oh, they refused to release an intelligence report of the evidence? Is that their fault? Oh, so, okay.
That made this instantly political. I think that it was, example
yes.
1000, when the Trump administration learned that when you
Yes.
have burned your own credibility over and over again, people are not immediately going to believe you, especially in an election year. However, that does not mean it's not worth discussing. There has been a sort of persistent, albeit relatively quiet, focus on whether that was the origin of the virus, and it is compounded by the fact that there have not been clear answers from Chinese officials about it, and that investigators trying to find out the origin have been stymied. So I do think we're in a different period of this, John, but I also think it's important to remember, because I think it's getting reframed in a way that's just not true to what happened. I don't mean here. I mean in
just not here. All of you MFers who were ridiculing the president for even bringing up that possibility, and Dr. Anthony Fauci seemed very intent on making sure that that was not the possibility, when now we know he knew a lot more about where things were going and who was paying for it and all that stuff. Oh my goodness gracious. That's quite a mouthful there, Maggie. All right, let's kind of go in a slightly different direction, but still within the same topic, because we're going to talk about a few governors right now. So now first, Ron DeSantis is calling, this is an interesting way to put it, but called Florida America's West Berlin after its COVID-19 response. Republican Governor Ron DeSantis called Florida America's West Berlin in a press conference Monday. DeSantis reflected on the state's COVID-19 pandemic policies at a Miami press conference, where he signed legislation intended to protect Floridians from big tech censorship. He compared Florida to West Berlin, insinuating that the state is freer than states with strict COVID-19 guidelines. So how long is this? This might be too long. I'm not going to. It's 56 minutes long. Anyway, what he said was people have the right to work, the right to operate business. They need more employees. That's the main thing at this point. We're proud of what we've been able to accomplish. We are effectively America's West Berlin over the last year, and people's view this as a free zone, the governor said. Now, that's interesting, because when we were on our Trail Stop stream, not last week, but the week before, a couple people, it was just last week. We had a couple people sitting next to us at the bar as we ate our brunch, who are from our town, but they live in Florida now, and they're here in the Twin Cities, visiting their mother, because apparently they had some hail damage on her roof, and they were going to help her because he's in the business, and so he just came up and whatever. And I found it interesting talking to them, because they live in Florida. I'm like, it's weird coming up here that now things are just opening up, because we've been so free for so long, as in the people in restaurants and bars and things, people out and about. And my son was down in Florida about a month ago, and they said the same thing. Yeah, he's just they're carrying masks around just in case. Nobody's wearing masks in Florida, and everyone's just doing their thing, and they did not have any huge spike in cases or deaths or anything. In fact, they kept going down like everywhere else. So anyway, the governor said people had predicted that Florida's economy would be harmed by the pandemic, but that the state's economy is currently flourishing. People come not only to follow their dreams, but even as just visiting for a time to escape some of the more repressive policies, he said. And DeSantis also said Florida supported the education system and had increased the minimum salary for teachers. The teachers were given $1,000 bonuses, as Florida is also rewarding law enforcement and first responders by giving them bonuses and barring any city from defunding police. We're not going to let any local government defund law enforcement. We will hold you accountable if you're violent. We're going to let everyone who wears that uniform protect and serve us know that we stand with you. And not only are we not defunding police, we are funding them and then some. We secured $1,000 for all first responders and law enforcement in the state of Florida. The governor continued. So Florida flourishing and doing well. And if you want to watch his address, just find this article that says Ron DeSantis called Florida's America's West. At the top, And there's a video of him speaking in Miami in that press conference. So there you go. Next Governor Gretchen Whit. Oh, here we go again. I keep wanting to call her Whitler. Okay, Governor Gretchen Whitler. Even though it's Whitmer. Yeah, Whitmer. So the other day they caught her breaking her own rules. She was in a bar with about 13 people in a picture, and they weren't socially distanced. They weren't wearing masks. They were just all having a good old time in a dive bar. Well, she's going to fix that issue because, they do as I say and not as I do. She rescinds the COVID rule she broke days earlier. Hey, at least they don't have the picture where their face is so shiny that it looks like there's stuff on her face. Democratic Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitler, her administration has rescinded the rule that Whitmer broke over the weekend. She apologized Sunday after photos posted over the weekend showing her dining with at least a dozen others at the Landshark Bar and Grill in East Lansing, Michigan. Breitbart News first reported the news on Sunday. Michigan's May 15th order formally mandated that no more than 6 people may be seated at the same table, and the governor has faced heavy criticism throughout the pandemic for strict COVID restrictions that have forced many Michigan restaurants and businesses to shutter their doors. On Monday, Whitmer's administration rescinded the rule limiting restaurants to no more than 6 people at a table, according to the Associated Press, effective June 1st. The governor had previously announced that the state would ease capacity restrictions on June 1st, but had not specified what this would mean. Whitmer did not respond to multiple requests for comment from the Daily Caller News Foundation. Let's see. Here we go. Yesterday, I went with friends to a local restaurant. As more people arrived, the tables were pushed together, the governor said, according to NBC affiliate WDIV of Detroit. Because we were all vaccinated, we didn't stop to think about it, she continued. In retrospect, I should have thought about it. I am human. I made a mistake. I apologize. And you better obey the next time I tell you to do something and stop looking at me when I'm doing the opposite. Okay, I made that last part up. Anyway, she was fully vaccinated on April 29th, according to the Detroit News, though. So good for her. She's got the stab, and I've got the brains. Let's make lots of money. Moving on. And now Governor Andrew Cuomo is again, he just opened his yap again. Let's put it that way. He defends receiving political advice from his brother. Now, we didn't talk about this story too much. In fact, I didn't talk about it at all, but he was getting advice from Chris Cuomo. First of all, why would you ever take advice from that complete dunce? But anyway, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo on Monday defended his decision to receive political advice from his brother, CNN host Chris Cuomo. I had conversations with my brother. I've always had conversations with my brother because he's my brother and he's my best friend, the governor told the New York Post. Obviously, he was aware of what was going on, and I talked to him about it, and he told me his thoughts. He always tells me his thoughts. Sometimes I follow them. Sometimes I don't. He was not covering the story. He has recused himself from the story. Cuomo defended the decision to ask his brother for advice because he frequently asked other reporters for their take on political issues. He did not, however, indicate with whom he had discussed similar matters. But to talk to journalists about the situation all the time, that they tell me their thoughts and but I talk to journalists about situations all the time and they tell me their thoughts and their advice, the governor explained. At the time, Andrew Cuomo was facing a number of at the time he was facing a number of sexual harassment allegations. He's still facing a number of sexual harassment allegations from his former staffers. He had gone to his brother Chris for advice on how to handle the situation because Chris probably has a lot of experience having a number of sexual harassment allegations. Is that why? Oh, never mind. 4 sources familiar with the cause told the newspaper that Chris Cuomo advised his brother on how to handle the political fallout produced by the allegations. Chris reportedly told his brother to refuse to resign and to strike a defiant pose, claiming he was standing up against cancel culture, per a report from the Daily Wire. And a couple days later, Andrew Cuomo said that he was standing up to cancel culture, which just is complete non sequitur from everything else he's ever said about this. But anyway, you can read the rest of the article, but I just think it's hilarious that Andrew Cuomo dirtbag. All right, now let's get on to something that's not about a governor. This is about a senator, and because Rand Paul receives a package with white powder and threat of violence. And so the FBI is now launching an investigation. You know how much the FBI loves Republicans. Anyway, the FBI has launched an investigation into a suspicious package that was sent to Senator Rand Paul on Monday that contained white powder and a message threatening violence. The package was reportedly a large envelope that was sent to Paul's home in Kentucky from an unknown sender. Outside the envelope was a photo of a beaten-up Paul with what Fox News said was a gun to his head, and included the message, "I'll finish what your neighbor started, you motherfucker." I take these threats immensely seriously, Paul wrote on Twitter. As a repeated target of violence, it is reprehensible that Twitter allows C-list celebrities to encourage violence against me and my family. Paul's remark about C-list celebrities appearing to encourage violence is an apparent reference to a tweet from over the weekend. According to the Daily Wire reported, on Sunday, pop singer Richard Marx, who has taken aim at former President Trump in the past, targeted Senator Rand Paul by citing Paul's neighbor who brutally attacked him by tweeting, "I'll say it again. If I ever meet Rand Paul's neighbor, I'm going to hug him and buy him as many drinks as he can consume." Oh, Richard Marx. Oh, now this is the Daily Caller taking a dig at Richard Marx, I bet. After Marx, who is known for such songs as "Don't Mean Nothing," "Satisfied," and "Right Here Waiting," was criticized for the post, he responded, "You see, Johnny Bob, unlike your hero, Fuhrer, now residing down at Mar-a-Lago, I never cited or even suggested anyone be violent, certainly not towards the traitor known as Rand Paul. I'm just saying that the fact that someone slugged him doesn't break my heart." Well, that's Archie's special Richard Marx. I liked his music when he was relevant. Anyway, then they just go into Paul underwent surgery or whatever, and so then they recap when his neighbor attacked him and stuff like that. But anyway, so violence and death threats from lunatics outside the political sphere. Let's see. Let's talk a little bit about Belarus. I wasn't paying attention to this until I got these three stories today, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of weird. So, apparently Belarus diverted a passenger flight to arrest some journalists, right? Well, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki condemned Belarus's decision to divert a passenger flight and arrest opposition journalist Roman Protasevich, who was on the aircraft over the weekend. Longtime Belarus leader Alexander Lukashenko, who has a history of suppressing free speech, had a military aircraft intercept, divert, and force down a Ryanair flight carrying about 170 passengers Sunday. Belarusian air traffic controllers told pilots there was a possible security threat on board while the plane was flying over Belarus, prompting the aircraft to be escorted by a fighter jet on land in Minsk, according to the New York Times. Once at the ground, Protasevich was removed and arrested. The incident has caused an international uproar, with European Union leaders threatening to sanction, and the Greek Foreign Ministry dubbing it a state hijacking. The New York Times reported Psaki was asked about the situation during Monday's press briefing and said President Joe Biden has already been briefed on it. She called the incident a shocking act and said the administration is in touch with a range of partners bilaterally through multinational channels from NATO. Okay, yeah. I'm sure Biden's right on that after his mid-afternoon nap and some pudding. So apparently they got... there's a video of the detained Belarusian journalist, and they were released. And let's see. A new video has been released portraying detained dissident journalist Roman Protasevich, who was arrested by Belarusian officials on Sunday after the government forced a civilian plane transporting him to land, inciting criticism from foreign leaders. And it's going to take a second. Oh, skip the ad. Here we go. Here's the report from CNN. Oh, is this it? Oh, is this the damn ad still? Oh, this is that damn Daily Wire thing. For whatever reason, Daily Wire's embedded videos never have sound. I don't know why. Let's see if I can get it to play here. Nope, that's Zoda's pet care. I don't want that. I want the CNN report. Let's try this. So this is CNN. So apparently, let's see. Do they have the video? Doesn't look like they do. All right, skip that. I'll leave that. I'll leave this account from CNN in the tabs too. Anyway, the CNN said the attitude of the Interior Ministry employees towards me has been correct as possible and in compliance with the law. Oh, I see. This is what Protasevich says in the video. He said, I continue to cooperate with the investigation. I've confessed to organizing mass riots in the city of Minsk. Yes, I'm sure that he did this with zero duress whatsoever. Anyway, good morning, Thomas Cleaver. Good morning, Infamous One. Good morning, Why Are You So Angry? That's a name, not a statement. And Avocados Diabli. What's happening? Richo, nice to see you. Getting caught up here. Special Can Acid, T-Ball. There's a whole bunch of people here that I didn't say hi to earlier. And then finally, on that note, here's the New York Post story on it. Biden needs to. Now, this is an editorial board, but I think they might be right here that Biden needs to make Belarus pay for terror in the air. Vladimir Putin's client state, Belarus, on Sunday forced down a jet owned by Irish-based Ryanair en route from Greece to Lithuania so it could seize a passenger, and the Biden administration wants an investigation. The facts of this, to quote the White House press secretary Jen Psaki, brazen affront to international peace and security aren't remotely in doubt. The question is what the civilized world will do about it. This was dictator Alexander Lukashenko using deception, a fake bomb threat, and force a fighter jet to grab a determined critic, journalist Roman Protasevich, simply because he figured he'd get away with it. Even the Europeans are getting tough. Britain, France, and Lithuania have ordered their planes to avoid Belarus airspace, while the slow-moving European Union looks to tighten sanctions on Lukashenko's misbegotten regime. The dictator's thugs have detained more than 30,000 demonstrators and hundreds of journalists amid protests over Lukashenko's likely fraudulent election in August. Washington needs to quit stalling and treat this as what the Lithuanian press rightly called it, a state-sponsored terror act. If Lukashenko doesn't get stomped fast and hard, the goons of the world will push the envelope even harder next time. Well, this is the Biden administration, and again, nothing before lunch, and then after pudding, there's a couple calls, and then they put a lid on it for the rest of the day. So that's just the nature of the Biden administration. So I don't think they're going to do anything. Let's see. Moving on. Article in the Federalist, Chinese concentration camp survivors reveal torture, rape, and plans for invading Europe. While Sarah Gul Satbe was held in a government-run concentration camp in China's Xinjiang province, she was forced to sign a paper mandating her own death if she spoke of the camp's atrocities. Undeterred, since her escape has raised awareness of the horrors perpetrated against the Uyghur people, receiving an International Woman of Courage Award from the U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo in 2020. Her book, The Chief Witness, Escape from China's Modern-Day Concentration Camps, written with journalist Alexandra Carvelius, came out early this month and is available from publisher Scribe. Excerpts published Saturday in the Daily Mail reveal stories of torture, organ harvesting, rape, and plans for global dominance from the gulags of the Chinese Communist Party. The U.S. State Department estimated in 2018 the CCP had forced possibly more than 2 million people, mostly Uyghur Muslims, into camps in China's Xinjiang province. According to satellite photos from the Australian Strategic Policy Institute, the number of camps had reached 380 by September 2020. Satbe was forced to work as a teacher at one of them before her release in 2018 and subsequent escape to Sweden. This basically it goes into a lot of detail here, and it's definitely worth the read. But just what the people in those camps are being subjected to, should bring outrage from the international community and should make you want to tell Nike and Apple to fuck off. But anyway, you can read the rest of that on your own. In Breitbart, Marco Rubio says the Chinese communists sense opportunity in the Biden era. Senate bill's lack of safeguards crazy, aka nuts. So Senator Marco Rubio, the vice chairman of the U.S. Senate Intelligence Committee, told Breitbart News that the Chinese Communist Party senses opportunity with Democratic President Joe Biden in the White House. Well, shocker. They sense opportunity, Mark Rubio said in an exclusive interview last week when asked to react to reports that CCP officials have increased U.S. influence operation spending 500% since Biden took office. Oh, great. Oh, man, there's a party there. They sense opportunity because the opportunity they sense is twofold. Well, what? Wait a minute. Did he say that really? They sense opportunity because the opportunity they sense is twofold. Number one is, unfortunately, these guys are really smart. They analyze and understand our politics a lot better than we understand theirs. They realize that they realize we have a new administration, and they realize this new administration is going to try to do everything the opposite of what Donald Trump did. Well, that's what's been happening so far. If Trump was for it, then they want to be against it automatically. So that's what they sense. They're trying to take advantage of that, but they also are trying to take advantage of gaps in the systems. His comments came during a lengthy exclusive interview with Breitbart News in Miami, okay, don't need to care about that. Anyway, he talked about a lot of things, PPP, the PPP loans, coronavirus pandemic, trends in Florida, whatever. But that part of the interview where he said, do y'all agree with that? That China seems to be sensing or even seizing on the opportunity of a new administration that seems to be in their pocket? Because I do. All right. We got a couple more and then we're going to get out of here. Let's see. Oh, well, let's skip that for a minute. Hang on. Don't do that one now. Let's do Biden first. Oh, wait a minute. What? Okay. All right. Let's do that. All right. Just a second. All right. Yeah, this is, I have a hard time not agreeing with this. It's time to confront the U.S. Capitol Police about its January 6th lies. House Republicans unanimously voted against Pelosi's $60 million payback to U.S. Capitol Police. GOP senators should do the same. The body of U.S. Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick wasn't even cold before his employer leveraged his untimely death to stoke more outrage about the events in the nation's capital on January 6th. At approximately 9:30 p.m. this evening, this is a quote, United States Capitol Police Officer Brian D. Sicknick passed away due to injuries sustained while on duty. Read a press release issued January 7th. Officer Sicknick was responding to the riots and was injured while physically engaging with protesters. He returned to his division office and collapsed. He was taken to a local hospital where he succumbed to his injuries. The death of Officer Sicknick will be investigated by Metro Police Department's Homicide Branch, the USCP, and other federal partners. The agency intentionally included the word homicide to suggest Sicknick was killed by homicidal Trump supporters. The next day, the New York Times, citing two anonymous law enforcement officials, claimed pro-Trump rioters overpowered Mr. Sicknick, 42, and struck him in the head with a fire extinguisher. Events that we now know didn't happen. Then they wrote this line, which was made up out of thin air. With a bloody gash in his head, Mr. Sicknick was rushed to the hospital and placed on life support. He died on Thursday evening. We now know that gruesome account was completely fabricated. Can anyone doubt, given their flagrant partisanship in the wake of the Capitol protest, the U.S. Capitol Police planted the now retracted fire extinguisher story? Rather than act as a politically neutral law enforcement agency tasked with protecting government grounds and public officials on behalf of the federal taxpayers they serve, the USCP has contributed to the fabulism about January 6th while covering up other aspects to help Democrats and Joe Biden's Justice Department keep the insurrection narrative alive. There's no question many Capitol Police officers acted heroically in the face of several protesters bent on violence that day. However, the U.S. Capitol Police brass have helped Democrats define the January 6th groupthink from the start. The violent attack on the U.S. Capitol was one unlike any I have ever experienced in my 30 years in law enforcement here in Washington, D.C., former USCP Chief Stephen Sund wrote in a statement posted January 7th. Make no mistake, these mass riots were not First Amendment activities. They were criminal, riotous behavior. Now, in exchange for the U.S. Capitol Police subservience, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi wants to reward USCP with a $1.9 billion appropriations bill that barely passed the House last week. The kickback includes more than $60 million in new funding for the department, including $31 million in overtime pay and nearly $7 million for hazard pay, and more than $6 million for retention bonuses and tuition credits. Another $4.4 million would help create a wellness and trauma support program named after a Capitol Police officer who reportedly committed suicide a few days after the protest. The USCP issued another press release on January 10th announcing the off-duty death of Officer Howard Liebengood, which became another talking point to bolster the description of the so-called deadly insurrection. But U.S. Capitol Police does not deserve an infusion of new tax dollars. Rather, it deserves to face harsh scrutiny from congressional Republicans and the news media for its conduct over the past few weeks. Not only did USCP initiate the lie that Sicknick was killed in the line of duty, the agency continued to perpetuate the falsehood for months. The family of U.S. Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick thanks the congressional leadership for bestowing his historic honor on our fallen American hero, the department said in a statement after Pelosi announced Sicknick's remains would lie in state in the Capitol Rotunda. When two men were arrested in March for allegedly spraying Sicknick with a chemical irritant, USCP cheered the news, again repeating the lie that the late officer was injured while protecting Congress during the riot in the U.S. Capitol. After the fire extinguisher tale fell apart, the Media and Justice Department quickly pivoted to a new excuse. Sicknick suffered a fatal allergic reaction to bear sprays. After the attack, he was taken to a hospital where he has succumbed to his injuries on the evening of January 7th, which is false. He died from a freaking stroke. Anyway, but there were no injuries. Sicknick didn't die as a result of the deadly blows or bad reaction to chemical spray. The D.C. Medical Examiner's Office in April finally revealed Sicknick died of natural causes, a stroke caused by blood clots near his brain. Even after the autopsy results were made public, USCP honchos continued to lie both to the public and in a congressional testimony. Acting USCP Chief Yognada Pittman told the Senate Appropriations Committee on that the January 6th protest, quote, resulted in the deaths of Officer Sicknick 2 days after the medical examiner released its report on the cause of Sickman's death. The Flacks at the USCP press office also refused to accept the coroner's finding. This does not change the fact Officer Sicknick died in the line of duty, courageously defending Congress in the Capitol, read at April 19th press release. The department continues to mourn the loss of our beloved colleague. The attack on our officers, including Brian, was an attack on our democracy. Okay, the next line is perfect. No one killed Brian Sicknick, but the U.S. Capitol Police purposely misled tens of millions of people into believing someone did. The rank and I'm almost done here. The rank and file where did it go? There we go. Rank and file officers are also helping to bolster the narrative about January 6th. In a lawsuit filed against Donald Trump, James Blasingham and Sidney Hemby accused the former president of encouraging the insurrectionist mob that resulted in their physical and emotional injuries. During his 2016 campaign and throughout his presidency, Trump had threatened violence towards his opponents, encouraging his followers to commit acts of violence and condone acts of violence by his followers, including white supremacists and far right-wing hate groups, the pair wrote. God, I can't, oh my goodness. Thousands of Trump followers congregated on the National Mall during the White House. Many were armed members of a far-right-wing hate organization like the Proud Boys. No, they were not armed. They were not armed. They didn't take one weapon from anyone at that rally or at the Capitol building. An insurrection without weapons. Now, they did have flagpoles and, shit they flung around because they were at the dumb knuckleheads were clashing with Capitol Police. They weren't armed. Blasting them claimed he was called racial slurs, and the experience left him with severe emotional distress. Did you read that? Did you all hear about that story? Where Michelle Obama, one of her bodyguards, said that one of her Secret Service people, they followed her around and they just couldn't believe everywhere she went. These people were just shouting racial slurs at her everywhere she went. There ain't no film. It didn't happen. There's cameras everywhere. Somebody on the planet, if this was, they said it was happened everywhere she went all the time. Okay, so if it's happening all the time, wouldn't you think at least one person with a cell phone would have taken video and caught it on camera, or at least the audio? Because Michelle Obama, for what it's worth, was a very popular person who roamed around the country, and people probably were always bugging her. I'm just not buying this victim narrative. Oh, they were throwing racial slurs at me. Show me the video. Show me the evidence that they were. Just saying. So anyway, while the Capitol Police still mislead Americans about what happened on January 6th, the agency is concealing the truth about other important matters, including the name of the officer who shot Ashley Babbitt, the unarmed veteran killed on January 6th. The Justice Department in April announced that it had closed investigations into her shooting, determining the unidentified officer did not commit any crime by killing her. The USC, then they placed the unidentified officers on administrative leave pending the investigation. It's unclear if he has since returned to duty. Anyway, so they're just, not only are they milking it, but they're still lying about it, which is really unfortunate. Dawg, what's happening? John Arnott, nice to see you. I got into that article a little too deep. Anyway. All right, let's finish up with this one from, let's see. I got two here left. Oh gosh. Yeah, this is, so apparently Biden was supposed to address the commencement at Notre Dame, I think. And then the White House cited a scheduling conflict, but Biden spent the entire weekend at Camp David. What? All right, so here's the deal. President Biden, the second Catholic president, did not address Notre Dame's 2021 commencement. The question is, why? Notre Dame said it invited Biden. The White House said Biden did not attend because of a scheduling conflict. But Biden spent the weekend with the First Lady at Camp David. Biden broke with recent tradition and didn't speak at Notre Dame's commencement today. There had been an outrage over his pro-abortion policies. The White House said it was a scheduling conflict. Below is Biden's schedule for the weekend. Where is the conflict? And so they show a copy of his weekend where he was at Camp David. Notre Dame President Father John Jenkins received an open letter signed by 4,300 people urging him not to invite Biden due to his policies on abortion. Quote from, what's this article from? It's from sycamoretrust.org. In brief, to begin with, abortion, Biden's actions already taken and those promised will result in the killing of countless. Okay, this is their protest about the abortion. So that's what they wrote to Notre Dame. You can read that yourself. The letter also mentions Biden policies on sex, marriage, and gender not aligning with Catholic teaching. Notre Dame came under fire in 2019 excuse me, when President Barack Obama gave the address and acquired an honorary law degree. So anyway, he was supposed to be at Notre Dame. They they said, or that's kind of a tradition for whatever reason, and he wasn't there, but he was at Camp David all weekend. I don't know. Yeah, that's a lid, not a scheduling conflict. Exactly. All right, let's finish up now. Just a little bit on the First Amendment and censorship, because when you do things on social media that the social media companies don't like, they're pretty quick to either remove the post and send you a stern letter written by a Karen telling you why they're suspending you for a couple of days, or if you get egregious, then they kick you off the social media altogether. But it's always happens that when they, you do something that they don't like, they tend to do something about it, right? Well, that's kind of the norm. However, interestingly enough, over the last several days, 17,000 people tweeted. I don't even know if I can say it on YouTube. Can you read that? It's about the guy with the funny mustache being correct, but instead of saying his name and was right. And the big tech has barely reacted at all. Yesterday afternoon, the phrase #fire Meghan McCain was trending on Twitter. What terrible, awful thing had she said to warrant trending on Twitter? The co-host of The View had done something few others have, decried an alarming spike in anti-Semitism. What? It's not surprising, if you're familiar with Twitter, to see how an outspoken defender of the Jewish people may find herself in its crosshairs. This is a place where variations of the phrase, quote, Hitler was right, wait a minute, I lost the spit, were posted more than 17,000 times, according to the Anti-Defamation League, in just 1 week span in May. As in-person violence against Jews has spiked, so too has hatred against Jews online. They are not a disconnected phenomenon, but part of the same ecosystem of hate that has blossomed along with the increase of tensions in the Middle East. Writing for the Jewish Journal, Pamela Peresky and Alex Goldenberg describe some of the research they've compiled about anti-Semitism online. They wrote, according to the Network Contagion Research Institute, NCRI, both were authors or affiliated, quote, extremist hashtags and slogans are upstream predictions of real-world violence and unrest. In a disturbing example, the anti-Semitic hashtag #COVID1948 has been trending on Twitter in several countries, including the United States. Often accompanied by nakedly anti-Jewish content, the hashtag likens the birth of the State of Israel to the COVID-19 virus. According to the NCRI, the hateful hashtag was shared up to 175 times per minute over 4 hours on May 13th. It often appears alongside #FreePalestine and is associated with other anti-Semitic hashtags like #Hitler was right and Zionazi. So, and what are they doing about it, though? That's the big thing. If it's appearing, what are they doing about it? Well, not a whole lot. While we've seen President Trump and countless numbers of his supporters booted off Twitter's service, purveyors of Jew hate like Iran's Supreme Leader Imam Sayyad al-Khamenei, Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh, and Louis Farrakhan are still regularly posting. Adil Raja, posting in praise of Hitler throughout his time on Twitter, finally lost him a gig as a freelance CNN contributor, but didn't even warrant a suspension, let alone a ban from the social media service. Over the last year, we've seen official and viral social media campaigns for Black Lives Matter, Stop Asian Hate. Social media companies and their users stood up to the hatred and promoted content designed to stand athwart prejudice. And now, with an increase in online and in-person hatred against Jews, we're met with silence. Around the world, we've seen violent attacks on Jews walking down the street, dining at kosher restaurants, at synagogues, and demonstrating in support of Israel. The videos of incendiary devices thrown at Jews standing in the Diamond District or dining outside are jarring, and the muted reaction online, with only vocal responses coming from almost entirely from the Jewish community, has been perhaps even more alarming than the attacks themselves. So there's some video of that. These are not just isolated incidents with a handful of bigots roaming the streets looking for Jews to target. No, we are witnessing a wholesale abandonment of the Jewish people at the hands of these mobs, both in the streets and on the web. The popularity of these anti-Semitic messages, the silence of social media companies and their users in response to these attacks, and their outrage that someone like Meghan McCain would dare speak up against it speaks volumes about our priorities as a society. While we may stand against some forms of hatred, the oldest form, Jewish hate, is still fair game. So that's in the New York Post article. And on that note, I think we might just call it a day today because I'm starting to mumble. I don't know why. Anyways, 50 people in the room, big time. Hello, C-Tron and Jason Arnold. I just noticed you too. Do me a favor before you do anything, and because you know it's going to take me a few minutes to get off of here anyway. Hit the like button. Like right now, everyone, 1, 2, 3, hit the like button. See what I'm saying? And share the stream out if you enjoyed it. Also, if you're watching on replay, put a comment in the comment section. And if you want to sponsor the show, there are ways to do that. It's down in the description down below, but in particular, YouTube Super Chats and Streamlabs are both options for that. Thank you for our sponsors today. Arthur Dent, Gunfox61, and Tarai Deos for sponsoring the show. I greatly appreciate it. And I hope everyone in the chat who participated today as well, will be back here tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel, Monday through Friday, 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. And I think it's 1500 GMT. That's close to that. But if you put on your YouTube, you clicky thing, and you go to the subscribe thing, and then you click the bell thing. There you go. That's all you need. Oh, the dislike, C-Tron, we have one dislike every show, and that's a planned dislike. Please don't be concerned. You only need to be concerned is when there's more than one. So we're all good. So anyway, gang, that's it for me today, and I do have to go. I hope you have a great day. My name's PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Hey, this is PDawgKnight, and thanks for watching today on the PDawgKnight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cashapp, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here.